Chanuka is an interesting day, or days. And the Rambam usually summarizes the mitzvot and the halachot in very short words. Rambam has 2 prakim on Chanukah. And he starts off with one message and he ends off with another message. 2 messages that are contradicting. What are they? In the beginning, Rambam says the message of Chanukah is a message of war. Am Yisrael went to war for their right to keep the Torah. That is the message of Chanukah. Then the Rambam ends the Ilchot Chanukah with a message of peace. Pay attention. The Rambam says like this: בבית שני, כשמלכו יוון, גזרו גזרות על ישראל וביטלו דתם. In בית שני, the Greeks, the Yevanim, made a lot of decrees to be מבטל the religion, our religion. ולא הניחו אותם לעסוק בתורה ובמצוות. They did not allow עם ישראל to keep Torah and מצוות. ופשטו ידם בממונם ובבנותיהם. They took their assets, they took their daughters, they violated their daughters. ונכנסו להיכל ופרצו בו פרצות וטימאו הטהרות. They came into בית המקדש and they violated the בית המקדש. וצער להם לישראל מאוד. עם ישראל were oppressed very much. ולחצום לחץ גדול עד שריחם עליהם אלוקי אבותינו, until השם יתברך felt and he brought רחמים to עם ישראל. והושיעם מידם, and he saved them from the Greeks. והצילם וגברו בני חשמונאי הכהנים הגדולים והרגום והושיעו ישראל מידם. That's what happens. עם ישראל went to a war and they were able to get back the היכל, the בית המקדש, and to get their peace back. In the end of Chanukah, the halachot of Chanukah, the Rambam says a different message, not a message of war. Over here we see a message of war. In the end we see a message of peace. What's the message? Vaya, a person that only has 1 candle, either candle for Shabbat or candle for Chanukah. That's it, 1 candle. What should he light? It's Shabbat Chanukah. Should he light the candle for Chanukah or should he light the candle for Shabbat? What is he saying? Aywa. היה לפניו נר ביתו ונר חנוכה, נר ביתו קודם. Why? Why is ner beito kodem? Do you know? Mishum shlom beito, because of shlom bait. Ner beito, ner Shabbat is called ner beito. Mishum shlom bait. So that a person should not bump into the wall, etzim v'avanim, bump into things. This guy starting to fight, this, that. Shlom beito adif. שהרי השם נמחק לעשות שלום בין איש לאשתו. הקדוש ברוך הוא says, you erase my name in order to keep peace between a husband and his wife. That's it. גדול השלום שכל התורה ניתנה לעשות שלום בעולם, שנאמר דרכי דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיה שלום. Message of Chanukah ends up the Rambam, it says it's peace. It's a message of peace. And I'm asking, what's going on over here? What's the message of Chanukah? I want to take something home and teach my kids. I want to teach my keilah. Is it a message of peace or a message of war? Should we go to a war? That's what Chanukah is all about. Or having shalom, gadol shalom. You know what the Rambam says over here? It's very simple. The Rambam says over here that in order to have peace, sometimes you have to go to a war. Peace, we as Jewish people feel that we like a peaceful life. We like that nobody bothers us, live and let live, all should be good, we don't bother anybody, nobody bothers us, we don't like fights, we don't like all kind of arguments, leave us alone, let us do our thing. But sometimes, and that's what Chanukah is about, sometimes you have to understand that in order to have peace, you have to go to a war. And we know that history is full of that. And that's what the Rambam says, simple. Beit Sheni, there was a time that we had no choice but to put on. And after we put on, we able to win our enemies, and we got the peace back. We were able to keep the Torah, the mitzvot, only after we went to a war. Now, take a look at the Lashon of the Rambam. It's very interesting. The Rambam says like this, that when the Greeks came to oppress Am Yisrael, what did they do? פשטו ידם בממונם ובבנותיהם ונכנסו להיכל ופרצו בפרצות. The Rambam says, first thing they did, they took their assets. Second thing they did, they violated their daughters. And the third thing is they conquered the Bet HaMikdash and they metamed the Bet HaMikdash. They took everything and they broke everything, and everything was פרצו בפרצות, openings in the Bet HaMikdash to be able, anybody could come in. And one might ask the question, 1 minute, the order over here is not correct. What's more important? What's more important? Is it more important, it should be first, that פשטו ידם בממונם או בבנותיהם? What's more important? What is more oppressing over here? Obviously, the fact that they took the daughters and violated them is worse than the mammon. Why is it that the Rambam first puts the mammon and then the bnotem? And thirdly, the echal, they went into the Bet HaMikdash. That's the worst of all. We know from how we treat Tisha B'Av, so severe. It's such a strict day. It's such a day of avelut. So if you have to put things in order, you have to put things exactly the opposite from the Rambam, the way the Rambam writes over here. First, parzu la'echal. That's the worst thing. Secondly, bnotehem is worse than your assets, your money, your finance, and then the mammon. What's the order over here in the Rambam? Now listen to this. This is a yesod, and you have to understand that the order over here in the Rambam is meduyak. It's precise. It's exactly the way it should be. Why? Because you have to understand that the way that a person could keep his freedom is only when he has strength. And money, says the Rambam, is strength. If you don't have money, the next thing you don't have is peace. So therefore, the Yevanim were smart. First, they took the assets away from the Jews. Once you take away the assets, once the Jews don't have money, they become weak, then they can go into Bnotehem, and after that, it's easy already to get to the Echal and to Bet HaMikdash. That's exactly the order. If you take a look in history, that's the way it's always been. For example, in Germany, 1933, the very first thing that the Nazis did when they came up to power was to try to close assets of Jews. First, it was voluntarily. They asked Jews to give them exact count of what they have. In 1938, before the war started, the year before the war started, they started taking possessions of all Jewish assets. Jews, they had no more money left. They didn't allow them to have businesses. All businesses of Jews were closed down. First it was, we signed, this is a Jewish business, do not shop here. And second, they closed our shops and they didn't allow them to have any job opportunities. Any place that they wanted to work was closed in front of the Jews. Once you keep them financially weak, it's easy afterwards to do everything else you want to the Jews. And that was the first steps of the Germans. And this is, by the way, L'Avdil, Elef Alvei Avdalot, is what our dear president is doing to the evil people in Iran and others, that he wants to take care of them. How do you take care of them? So some people would go to fight a war. Some people, like Obama, would leave them alone and hope things will resolve by themselves. All different ways. But our president is a smart man. And he understands that the way you treat such people, you want to defeat them, the very first thing is you close up. It's called dry the pool. What happens when you dry the pool? You need to get to the fish, and you need to start putting your thing to fish, to get the fish. Every day you go fishing, you get 2 fish, 3 fish. You want to get everything at once? Dry the pool. Close, make sure that all the water's out and all the fish are there, are dead and there to take. And that is what the president does. And L'Avdil, that's what the Greeks tried to do. From here we learn a message. I want to explain to you. We live in a hard time. There's no question we live in a hard time. Am Yisrael are being assaulted. Am Yisrael are being targeted. Now even in America, unfortunately. But we have to understand that Chanuka is a message that we shouldn't be frightened. Because as long as Am Yisrael are frightened, they're going to keep on doing it, and they're going to do it even more and more. The nature of an oppressor is that he becomes more oppressor as he sees the victim afraid. That's the way it is. Look at Chamberlain. Would you have more example than him? He was an appeaser to the Germans, to Hitler, and he gave them Czechoslovakia. And the next thing that happened, Hitler, if they signed treaties and everything, he went to conquer Poland, and Chamberlain, which was the prime minister of the UK, had no choice, and he had to go to a war when it was already too late and the defeat came. And the only way to be able to defeat the Germans was through a war. And we had, Baruch Hashem, that the Americans went to war with the Allies and were able to defeat the Germans. The message of Chanukah is, פשטו ידם בממונם ובבנותיהם ונכנסו להיכל וצר להם לישראל מאוד מפניהם ולחצום לחץ גדול עד שריחם עליהם אלוקי אבותינו והושיע מידם. Hashem was מרחם on עם ישראל. But how did that happen? How did that happen? הצילם וגברו בני חשמונאי הכהנים הגדולים והרקום והושיעו מישראל מידם. They went to a war. How many people went to a war? 13 people, says Rashi. 13 people against the Greek Empire. Hundreds of thousands of people. There were 13 courage men that said enough is enough. And we need to understand, nobody needs to go to a war. But first of all, the message of Chanukah, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. We open the news every time there's an attack. Fear in Monsey. Fear in the Jewish community. What's the message? The message to the people that hate us is that there's fear and go attack again. Because if there's fear only attracts more assault. That's what it is. We're not afraid. We're not afraid. That's the very first thing. Secondly, we have to do what we need to do. First, take precaution. Doesn't mean that you're afraid. Close the door. Put locks on the shuls. Don't leave it open. Don't leave the schools open. Lock them up. But secondly, you have to do what you have to do. Legally, within the legal system, those that have the power to stop that, to go and make sure that they get to the bottom of who's causing those people, they all come from the same sect. They all come from the same people. Who ignites them? Who's the one that hits them up? Who is that? There's some groups that hit them up to go and attack. And we need to get to the bottom of it. Now, I'm sure the FBI and the police are doing a great job. But we can let go. Those that have the power, those within our community that have the power to oversee that they're doing the correct job, they need to do it. It's not going to help and it's not going to stop if in the news you always see Jews are frightened to walk in the street. Jews in Monsey and in New Jersey are in fear. That doesn't help at all. That only sends a message to the next person, to the next oppressor, go and make another attack. That's all it is. And we know that throughout history. We know that from the last 10 years in Israel, that until the government put their foot down, they made a wall and they made all necessary things. And every time they take things to their hand and they defeat the enemies. Nothing, if you just let it go. There used to be a prime minister in Israel that used to call it that quiet is fear. Quiet is strength. Keeping quiet is strength. Letting the enemies get away with it, it's strength. You keep quiet, it's also strength. But that's what didn't work. Such thing, such system, such understanding did not work. Over here in Chanukah says the Rambam, צר להם לישראל מאוד מפניהם ולחצום לחץ גדול עד שריחם עליהם אלוקי אבותינו. When Hashem said it's the okay, what happened? They went to do what they need to do. הושיע מידם, הצילם, גברו בני חשמונאי הכהנים הגדולים. Now I heard rabbis that have a different understanding of how to approach what happens lately. And what is that? Each one gives you an understanding why things are happening. They'll give you a spiritual understanding. Because of this sin, these things are happening. And they'll name you the sins that Am Yisrael are involved with, certain people, and because of those sins, those terrible things are happening. Now, I don't know. Nevuah nitna lashotim. I have no idea. We don't have the power to understand why Hashem does things. If you had maybe a Gdol Ador like Rav Chaim Kanievsky, and he would tell you, this is the reason, okay? He said, of Chaim Kanievsky, so we all afar leraglav. But he doesn't say. There's maybe a handful of people in the world that could say what's the reason that things are happening, and they're not saying. If they're not saying, who gives a right to every rabbi to come up and say what's the reason of things that are happening? We don't know. We need to fix our ways in every possible way. We try to fix our way in every possible way and hope that HaKadosh Baruch Hu would be merachem on us, just like he was merachem in the time of the Chashmonaim. But we do need to know that the Torah way is not to show fear. And fear doesn't help. And we do need to know that we have to do ishtadlut b'derech hateva, and we do have that power. And as long as we have the power, people are not going to be able to hurt us. And Baruch Hashem that we have such a president that just 2 weeks ago made a new resolution against anti-Semitism. He called Jews not only a religion, but also it's a nation, it's an ethnicity, which means if you speak about Jews, now it's a crime. It's offensive crime. And with that, real anti-Semitism was taken out, like BDS, like many other white supremacism that started arising, and he closed them up. They can't be on YouTube anymore, and can't be here, and it can't be there. And he closed those things up. But you can't let go of the paddle. You have to keep on going and do whatever you can. So that's a message to anybody that has an ability within the government, within any hand in it that he could see, and the police department, whatever. I'm saying I'm sure they're doing a great job, but it's not the same when you oversee what people are doing. We all know that if you have a teacher that's doing a great job, you have a rabbi that's doing a great job and he's teaching your kids and it's beautiful the way he teaches. It wouldn't be the same if you go once a week, once every 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks and speak to him. How's my kid doing? He sees that you're on top of him. When the father's there, when the mother's there, the rabbi performs differently. The teacher performs differently. We all know that. And we also behave that way. When you have somebody on top of you, you try to produce more over here. People need to understand that that's what we need to do. That is what Chanuka is all about. We're wrapping up Chanuka, but we need to understand we are not people that are afraid. We are not people that are scared. Jewish people who never been such as Azim Shebaumot. You come to attack us, we'll make sure that you'll be persecuted, and we make sure that it's going to happen as soon as possible. And we need to do everything in our powers. And this is the message of Hanukkah. When you show power, you get peace. That's what the Rambam says. That's beginning and end. In the beginning, you have to show. If you let them defeat you, it's going to keep on going. If you show that we're not standing to it, Gadol HaShalom, the Rambam says, all will be peaceful. שכל התורה ניתנה לעשות שלום בעולם, שנאמר דרכיה דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיה שלום.